Hello friends, welcome to educators.com. I am Preeti Rathi. In last video we have discussed about statements like break, continue and go to. Now in this video we'll discuss about functions. The topics which we are going to cover are what is function and the need of function, then predefined functions, user defined functions, passing values between functions, then we'll check some example of function and function declaration and prototype. Now what is function? A function is a self-contained block of statement that perform a coherent task of same kind. Function gives us facility for modularization because to perform a task we can club the activities together under one function name, and it again gives us code reusability because instead of writing that lines of code again and again, if same task we need again, we can just call the function and control will go to that function declaration and that will be executed. For example, if I want to calculate simple interest of a bank, then for that I can write a separate function. If I want square of a particular number, then instead of writing the whole formula getting value for the things for the parameters etc., we can separately write a function and then just call the function in another function. Now there are two types of functions we have: predefined functions and user defined function. Predefined functions. These are the functions which are already defined in C. We cannot modify them, but we can just use them by adding their libraries. Some of the functions are printf, scanf, string functions like string concatenation, etc. And then user defined functions are the block of statement which has been written by the programmer to use the sum code multiple times in a program as per requirement. Means the way we have discussed, if a task I need multiple times, so I can declare a separate function and then call it in the another function. To declare the function, syntax is return type, function name and list of parameters separated by comma. Then this is the block of function where we can write all the statement which should be performed by this function. Here the function name can be any valid identifier. Return type can be data type of the result. After performing task, whatever we want to send back to the caller function, the data type of that variable should be given as a return type. If we don't want to return anything from that function, then the return type should be void. And if we haven't given any return type, then default integer is taken. The parameter list is comma separated list that declares parameters. A type must be listed explicitly for each parameter unless the parameter is of integer type. So separately every parameter should have its own type declared. Now here we can see the example of function. Suppose we have some message that smile and the word smiles with you. Now this message I need multiple times. So instead of writing that again and again, a separate function message we can create, and then this function we are calling in the main method. So in C our application starts with the main method, then as soon as we are calling this message function, control will jump to this function. It will execute the body of function and then it will return back to the caller function and continues with the caller function. So the output will be first the line from message is displayed and then from the main method. Now here in this function we are not passing parameter to this function. Now we'll check out how to pass parameters to the function. Suppose we want to calculate sum of three numbers. So for that we can write a separate function. Here the function is declared like calSum. Now these three integers we are using here which are declared here. Either we can declare the data type at this level or inside this bracket. Then it is performing the calculation and then returning output, that is a D value, with the return statement. As soon as we call return, control goes back to the caller function with this value, and that value is now assigned to this sum. That value now caller can use for display or any business logic. This is how we can pass parameters to the function and can accept return value from the function. If suppose we are using some function, we are calling some function and declaring it later, then in that case we have to do the pre-declaration of the prototype. Like in this example, we need to call square of two numbers, square of a number by multiplying it. So whatever we are returning, that will go at this level, but in the application this declaration is later and calling is done before. So to avoid compile time error, we need to give this prototype before calling it. So the prototype is return type, name of the function, and list of the parameter, mainly the data type we need to add here. Now we'll check out this practically. Now as we discussed that CLR, SCR, getCH, these are the predefined function available in stdio and conio.h header file. Now main is again a function which is the entry point of our application. So we can say that in C every application has at least one function, that is main. Then we have, now suppose we want to declare a function, a simple function we need which will display the message. So now it has nothing to return, so I'll give void, and the name of function is getMessage. Then we'll have some printf statement here saying hello all. Now one more printf I want to add here, which will have how are you. Now suppose these two lines of code I need frequently, so instead of writing that code again and again, I can wrap it in a function. Now I have declared a function where I have given this two statement. Now in another function we can call it. While calling, we just have to give the name of function with this bracket and semicolon. Now I'll execute it. You can see here hello all, how are you is displayed. Now if I call this function multiple time, the same message I'll get multiple time. So same message is displayed one more time. So whenever we have a task to be performed multiple times, so instead of writing the whole task, we can separate it in a function and then call it in the another function. The second advantage is we are having modularization, as we are wrapping all the tasks which is related to message under one function and then calling it. So code reusability and modularization are the facility of functions. Now this function is not returning anything. If we want to return anything from the function, then we have to use return statement and return type also. For example, suppose I have a function add, which is performing addition of the two numbers. So these are the parameters which I can declare here. Now inside this function I'll create another variable, and this variable will hold value of I and addition of I and j, and here I am going to return this, return z. Now before returning I'll display it. In add function, z equal to the value of z. Now as it is returning integer, so we can give return type as an integer. Now integer is a default return type, so if we don't give any return type, still it will be integer. Now this function can be called in main function. Here we can call it just by the name of the function and some parameter we can pass here. Now whatever will be returned by this function, that I can hold in some another variable. So that variable I'll declare here and will hold the value in that variable. Now application will start with main. Now as soon as we will call get message, control will go to that function. It will execute that body of the get message, again comes back to main. Again it will go to get function, comes back to main. Then as soon as we call add function, this 10 will be assigned to I and 20 will be assigned to j. Then the addition will be performed and whatever we are returning from this function, that will go back to the caller function and here it will be assigned to var. Now if we want to display this value, then we can use printf to display the var. Say in main var equal to %d. Here also we need to give %d. Now if I'll execute this, so we are getting hello all, how are you twice. Then in add function, inside the function this value is displayed and z is 30. Then it's coming back to main and again the value is displayed in main var equal to 30. So this way we can have parameter passing to the function as well as returning some value from the function. Now we can call one function inside another function, but we cannot define one function inside another function. For example, I cannot define another function inside this get message, but yes, always I can call one function inside the another. Suppose I want to call get message inside add, so I can call it over here. So in this case the caller will become add method, add function, and get message will be the another function that is called into it. So again one more time we got hello all, how are you, which is from the get message. So this way we can define the functions. Now if suppose we are defining a function and calling it before defining it, then sometimes compiler gives error, then we have to declare the prototype in advance. For example, suppose I have a function, say display. Now this display function will have simple printf that this is C tutorial. Now this function is declared later, but if I try to call it over here in main and if I'll compile it, it will give the error because when a compiler is trying to find display which is not available. So before calling, if before defining we want to call it, then we should have declaration done of the prototype. So that we can do here before calling itself. Now we can execute it. The compile time error is removed because we have declared that there will be a display function which will come later, but while calling compiler will come to know that this display is available, so it won't give the error. This is called as prototype. Prototype will hold just the return type, name of the function and list of parameter, not the function body. This prototype even we can add inside main also. So we have seen how to use the function. Function can return some value. Function, we can pass parameters to the function. If function is not returning anything, then we have to declare it as a void. If we haven't given any return type, then by default it is integer. One function can call another function, but we cannot have definition of one function inside another function. The value we can return using return statement. Every function can have a return statement. So this way we can use functions. So in this tutorial we have discussed about the function. Now in next tutorial we will check out about pointers. Thank you.